Can putting hair dye on wet hair affect the outcome of the color?
Hello, welcome back to our hair care series. Today, we're diving into the world of hair coloring. The topic for today's discussion is, does applying hair dye on wet hair affect the outcome of the color? This is a question we often encounter, so let's unravel the mystery together.
What happens when you apply hair dye?
To understand the impact of hair condition, wet versus dry, on dyeing, it's crucial to comprehend the basic hair coloring process. Hair dye works by penetrating the hair shaft and depositing color molecules. The dye contains ammonia or another alkaline substance that lifts the hair's cuticle, allowing the color molecules to get inside. Then, peroxide is used to bleach the hair, getting rid of the original color so the new color molecules can take effect.
The effect of wet hair on hair dye.
So, what happens when you apply hair dye on wet hair? The first thing to note is that water can dilute the dye, potentially reducing its intensity. This means that if you're aiming for a vibrant or dark color, applying dye to wet hair might not give you the result you want. Furthermore, when your hair is wet, it is filled with water. This could limit the amount of dye your hair can absorb. In simple terms, your hair might not take in as much dye when it's wet, which can also lead to less intense color.
Is it always bad to dye wet hair?
While we generally advise applying dye to dry hair for the most consistent and intense color, there are exceptions. For instance, some types of dye, like semi-permanent or certain types of toners, are designed to be used on wet hair. In fact, applying these dyes to wet hair can help distribute the dye more evenly and may result in a more subtle, blended look. Always read the instructions on your specific dye to make sure you're using it correctly. In conclusion, while applying dye to wet hair can dilute the color and make it less intense, it's not always a bad thing. It largely depends on the type of dye you're using and the effect you want to achieve. Always read the instructions on your specific dye, and if in doubt, consult with a professional hairstylist. Remember, the ultimate goal is to treat your hair with care and achieve a look that makes you feel great. Thank you for watching, and happy hair coloring!